I can hate what Michael has done, but I still love him. He is still my son. Evil lives here. That may make people think that this is an evil person. Some of the actions that he took are evil, but he is not an evil person. I've always felt that this is a story that needs to be told.
What did you feel when you pulled the trigger?
I felt powerful. I don't know. I shouldn't really care about them.
I tried to prevent this. I explicitly warned people. I feel like I was jumping up, waving red flags, hair on fire, help me, help me. He's a danger to himself and others.
You show me how you held the gun?
That sounds like that.
I was afraid of my son, but nobody would listen to me. I prayed for guidance. I prayed for a miracle. Where do you go when nobody listens? This is a picture of Michael when he was first born. He's so tiny. He's so tiny, so brand new. I had two boys, 13 and 6. I wanted a girl. But Bob was really excited about having another boy. The other two boys, they were always very supportive with him and took their duties as big brother very seriously. And we were all very happy to have him in our lives. He was a blessing. I never expected to have any issues. I expected it would be very similar to the experience we had with our other two boys, and everything would be smooth sailing. That was not to be. I noticed early on that there was some things a little bit different about Michael than what I had seen with my two. Just sometimes harass the other children and the daycare provider to see how far he could push. He would want to escape the house, or at nap time he would go around, wake up all the children, and then when he had all the children awake, then he would lay down and take a nap. I thought maybe it would be best if I were to go out of the workforce, open my own daycare center where I would still have an income, which we needed to have. But I would be able to be there all day and keep an eye on Michael.
Oh, hey. You need some more milk? Get you some more milk, sweetie?
Started out fine. They were wonderful little kids. They were so well behaved. I had an infant that I watched. It was the sweetest little baby. It was my own child that I could not handle. The minute he's out of my sight, he's going to do something that he shouldn't. And I went, I think, in the kitchen to heat up a bottle, and Michael climbed up in our armchair, and he was standing on the arm of the chair. And I thought, he's going to jump on this baby. I think his intent was, I'm going to disrupt this and get the attention of my mom.
Michael, what are you doing? Get down from there.
My thought was, this is too dangerous. There was no doubt about it. The baby would have gotten hurt. And I could not take that risk.
Honey, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Well, why did you climb up there? Were you going to jump?
No.
I had to close that daycare because I could not handle Michael.
Why don't you go upstairs and play by yourself for a little while, okay?
I could never let my guard down with Michael, ever. travel for work at one time. I got a call from Bob that Michael had been at the park, and he said that somebody had stolen Michael's bike and punched Michael in the nose and gave him a bloody nose. But then Michael had come home again the next day with another bloody nose. And then he'd get another bloody nose. Something just wasn't right. There was something there that just wasn't right. It seemed a little odd to me that he'd pop up with these bloody noses, so I asked him about it. When I got home, I said, I don't really believe that you're getting hit and getting...
You can tell me.
And he admitted to me that he had never gotten hit.
Because you're always at work, and I never get to see you anymore.
I was out of town, and so he was upset that I was gone. And Michael had learned that if I give myself a bloody nose, then I get some sympathy.
I have to travel for my job. It's not because I don't want to be here. I just don't like it.
I just thought it was very odd that he would do that kind of a behavior to get attention. But I talked to him about it, and it never happened again. So I didn't see that as a red flag. These dreams were not normal childhood nightmares. Michael would have them, night after night after night. He would wake up in the middle of the night, and he would come into our room. It was always that people were after him. People were going to get him. People were going to hurt him.
Michael, are you okay? Can I sleep with you?
And this kid is terrified. Made me feel really sad that this little boy is having these horrible, scary dreams.
Did you have another nightmare? They were trying to get me. Who's they? Okay, get in.
He'd come in and just crawl in and sleep next to me. But there seemed to be more to this. It was around this time he started drawing pictures. He would sit in the living room and he would color.
What are you doing? You've been drawing for a while.
I'd ask him, what is this you're drawing? They were people with knives, and the knives would be like dripping blood, and they were going to get him. They were after him.
What are these supposed to be?
And he'd tell me, this is what I dreamt about last night. This is the person that's chasing me.
Are all these pictures from your dreams too?
And he had to do things to protect himself. Where is this coming from this little, rather innocent child? I've never seen such violent drawings. It just was unreal. He would continue the drawings for years. And the nightmares continued about it, and they said, some kids just have nightmares. So we tried not to make a big deal about it. But I never understood where the violence came from. Michael had come in the middle of the night with a knife.
Get away from me!
And held that knife above my son's head. I never slept very well. I became a very light sleeper. Little noises. Sometimes it was just creaking of the house. Sometimes it would be Michael. We had trouble keeping him in the bed, and he'd get up and he'd wander around the house and do things. And he was getting more attracted to knives. There was one night I heard a noise in my room. And when I woke up, there was Michael sitting on my bedroom floor with a bar of soap. And he was cutting up this bar of soap with a knife.
Michael!
It scared me that He's got a knife and he's doing this in the middle of the night.
What are you doing?
Playing.
I just kind of slowly got out of bed and walked over to him.
Honey? Michael? Give Mommy the knife. Sweetie?
Took the knife away and explained to him, you shouldn't be doing this.
Knives aren't toys. You could really hurt yourself.
Okay.
And I took his hand and I put him back into bed. And then there was one morning I woke up and all the kitchen chairs, they had a plastic covering on them. And he had taken a knife and just poked holes all over these chairs. You could see little slices in all the seats.
Honey?
Again, it was a middle of the night activity that he had done.
Michael, come in here. Why would you do this?
And he's like, I don't know, I just feeling that he woke up from his nightmare and this idea of somebody chasing him with the knife was in his head, and he got a knife and he acted out some of the things that he had been dreaming about.
Honey, we talked about this. You're not allowed to play with knives.
And so we had to take all the knives out of the drawers. We put them in a special container so they were really hard to get to. Made sure all the knives were taken away.
Why don't you go get ready for school?
But there was like 2 knives in this one drawer. I hadn't even thought about the knives in that drawer.
Mom! Dad!
One night, Michael had gone into our older son's room and woke him up.
Mom! Dad! Help me!
And he hollered out, Dad! Dad!
Dad! Dad!
And so my husband went in there, and Michael had come in the middle of the night with a knife and held that knife above my son's head.
No, get away from me!
Drop it! Get away from your brother!
And my husband got the knife away, got him calmed down, got our other boy settled down, that it was going to be okay.
Are you okay?
And my husband talked to Michael, got him settled back into his bed. I don't know why Michael went in there. The only thought I could have was that somehow he had had one of his dreams about people chasing him, and somehow he ended up in Rick's room. We were afraid of what could have happened, and kind of realized now we need to really protect the people in the house too. So we started locking our bedroom door. We had locks on all the doors and cupboards and everything, just to try to keep everything secure for Michael. Bob built a loft bed and put Rick up in a loft bed, so you'd have to climb up into the bed. That was a safety measure too. I was very upset. I couldn't believe that my son had behaved like this. Something is really going on here. The behavior he was showing was a huge red flag. I need to bring him in to see a counselor or a psychologist and talk through what this issue is. But I never felt like we got any answers.
Well, his behavior is so abnormal.
A kid at this age experiences a lot of developmental changes in a very short amount of time.
They didn't think that he was a child that had some troubles. They thought he is just a troublemaker.
But those are your only options.
I think one was Ritalin, one was Adderall, but he turned into a zombie.
No.
What I was looking for was some parenting tips, maybe better ways to discipline him, things that I could do to improve his behavior.
There's nothing more I can do.
And he said that I was being a bad parent,
Now, if you'll excuse me.
and that Michael needed to be locked up. And I was dismissed.
I
was so angry and I was so frustrated. What am I supposed to do now? I need help. I can't just go lock up this kid. I should not have let him dismiss me the way he did. I should have advocated more. I should have stood my ground and advocated more for Michael, and I didn't. And I regret it.
His behavior has gotten out of control.
He had thoughts about hitting her in the head with a hammer. I'm afraid of him. He might have these thoughts about me. One day, Michael was out playing, and someone came to the door.
Hello?
Mrs. Swanson, this is the last straw.
The neighbor told me that Michael had a knife, and he was threatening another child with this knife.
Your son threatened my child with it.
I'm so sorry.
Now it's gone from inside our house. Now it's outside of our house.
Next time, I'm calling the cops.
I'll deal with this. This won't happen again. I am so sorry. Michael?
He was very cavalier about this. It was like, oh, Mom, it's no big deal. I didn't really mean anything about it. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it, Mom.
What in the hell has gotten into you?
What's the big deal? I was just playing around.
Knives aren't toys. We've talked about this.
Well, he was never really very remorseful. When he would get caught doing things, he was more sorry that he got caught than for what he had done. We recognize that there's something not right here.
You know what? This has gone too far. There's something wrong with you.
Whatever.
Michael! Michael!
We took him to a behavioral emergency center. They felt we were being hysterical parents, and that they said their hands were tied, they had no place for him to go, and so they were just going to send him home. I was livid. He's thinking about hurting people. He's a danger to himself and others. Nobody cared. Bob had got a job at a coin shop. The owner of the shop was a little concerned about security. So when he was at the shop, he would have his sidearm with him. So Bob had purchased a small square safe. That's where he had stored his handgun. He had some money in there. We thought that was secure. But one day, Bob went down to the safe to get some of the money out that he had in there. And found that the money was gone and that somebody had touched the gun. It had a little laser light thing on it, and they had left that on. So we had confronted Michael with this. We had Michael sitting at the kitchen table, and Bob was grilling him for a couple hours in that chair.
I said don't play stupid with me.
What are you talking about?
And the kid is not saying anything. He's just like, I didn't do anything, just denying everything.
All right, Michael, why don't you tell me where the money went? Because we both know it didn't just up and walk out the safe.
Like I said, it wasn't me.
And Bob is like, I know you took this money. I know you did this. And Michael's like, no. But finally, Michael said, okay, yeah, I did that.
Fine, screw it. I took the money, okay?
I took the money. I touched the gun.
You guys are ridiculous.
I don't understand what the big deal is. I just took the money and I bought some drugs and nobody's hurt, so why is this a big deal? I think he was motivated to get the money, didn't know that there was that gun in there. And then when he saw it, he had to touch it. But he did not show a whole lot of remorse. He did not.
Michael?
I came home from work one day and Michael was gone. and couldn't find him anywhere. He had broken into our safe. I could see a paper where he had written down all the combinations as he was trying to figure out the combination for the safe. And he took the money and the gun, and he ran away. Now he... When I got home, he was gone. He had broken into our safe, and he had taken this gun. We called the police. When they found him, he was hiding at his friend's home.
Oh, Michael.
And I had asked him, why did you run away? What caused this? And his response to me at that time was that he had to leave the house because he had thoughts about hurting me. And that he did not want to hurt me.
Sometimes I'm afraid I'm gonna... I want it.
You want to what?
I know my son loves me. I know that I love my son. But I know that he has these thoughts. And would he really act upon these thoughts? That I didn't know. I had no idea. And that unknown and that fear is horrible. Bob was at the cabin. Both of my older boys were out on their own. I was home alone with Michael and locked the bedroom door, and I remember laying in that bed, listening to every creak of the house, wondering, is he coming after me? It was scary. So we took a really large wrench out of the garage, and we actually had that next to our bed. In case he were to come into our room, we would have something. That is a horrible thing to think that you need to have something to protect yourself against your son, just in case. If he came in our room at night and we felt like we had to hit him with that wrench, could we have actually done that? I don't know if we could have actually done it. We're like, okay, now what do we do? The police liaison officer that found Michael felt that he really needed to have a 30-day evaluation where he would be in like a group home. So we agreed that this was a good idea. So Bob and I drove him to this group home. He would be there for 30 days. When we left that day, I left with a feeling of hope that we're going to get somewhere now. They called me and they told me that they had an incident with Michael.
Listen, I wish there was something I could do to help. But given the events that have taken place, your son is too much of a risk.
Michael had gotten upset with a counselor. He had taken a fire extinguisher off the wall, sprayed it at a counselor. Plus, they said he threw the fire extinguisher when he was done, so that was assault.
Michael has been antagonizing our staff since the moment he's arrived.
She said they did not feel that they could handle him there.
We have no other choice but to discharge him from the facility.
She said that we let this child hit rock bottom, and we should remove our parental rights and just let him fall to the bottom of the barrel. And he was 14. I was a wreck. You don't just let a young adolescent kid fall to the bottom and not do anything because you don't know what to do. There should be hope for this kid.
Isn't there anything that we can do to reconcile the problem?
If I were you, I'd turn him over to the system.
I told her I would do anything. This is our lifeline. We're desperate. I don't know what else to do. And if you take this lifeline away from us and just send us home, what do we do? What do we do? I'm begging you, please, keep him here.
We've done what we can.
And she just said, I'm sorry. There isn't anything I can do to help you. You need to take your son and leave.
These are his discharge papers. Good luck.
And that's what we did. When Michael was convicted of the assault on the counselor, he was given restitution to pay $2,500 back, and the county would give him so many credits of money for so many hours of volunteer work. So my sister volunteers at an old-time park with like schools and churches from the pioneer days. I called my sister. I told her, I think it would be good to get him away. And she's like, oh yeah, sure.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, of course.
So Michael would go spend time with my sister.
I think this is a good idea for everyone. Right, Michael?
They'd paint picnic tables, buildings, whatever. And then he would collect volunteer hours to help pay his restitution.
So have a safe drive
All
back.
right, thank you.
To talk to me. When I met with my sister, Michael stayed in the car and she was visibly upset.
I really wanted to help you guys out, but I just don't think I can handle this right now.
She had told me that he had stolen money from the place where they had volunteered. He denied it. She searched his suitcase and found the money.
His behavior has gotten out of control.
And then she said she went to open the trunk of her car, and her husband's gun was in the trunk. Only person that could have put the gun in the trunk was Michael.
Everyone is scared of him.
And her keys for the car were missing. And her cell phone was missing. Now she's scared. She was afraid he had thoughts of hurting her.
I shouldn't have burned you with him. I'll figure this out.
I was very concerned to think that he would even think about hurting my sister. She's so good to him. They're so close. The thought that he could have hurt her just as the terror she must have been in, alone out there with him.
You really scared your aunt.
I asked Michael if he had had thoughts about hurting my sister.
You wouldn't do that, right?
Only if I had to.
What does that even mean? Why would you have to?
He said he was going to get his friend and then they were going to run away. And to get money, they're going to rob Taco Bell's. And she was preventing him from doing what he wanted, and he thought he might have to hurt her.
I wanted the card, she wouldn't give it to me. So it made me angry.
The sheriff decided to go ahead and press charges. Because the sheriff filed the charges, they decided that Michael needed to be put into a criminal juvenile center. And I'm thinking, okay, now we're going to get some help. But the judge sent him home. They decided that Michael had been behaving himself. He had a good family. They would stay this sentence. That was crazy to me. I felt like this is like a broken record. No matter where we go, we can't get him any help. To see that he's moving on and growing up, and it's like a new chapter starting. He was a sweet, caring, loving kid. It was a hopeful time. The morning that Michael had disappeared, I wasn't concerned about anything. I went to wake him up.
Michael, it's time to get up.
And I didn't hear anything from him.
Michael?
The door was shut. I opened the door. It was cold. And the screen was off the window, and Michael was gone. I looked out in the front. My truck was gone. And my heart just sunk.
Mom!
And I woke up Bob, and I told him that Michael has disappeared. For a couple years, he did really well. But I think it was a mother's intuition. It was a feeling like this time it was different.
Why'd you shoot her?
I was just thinking, like, well, the police are gonna get called eventually, but if I shoot her, it's not gonna happen right away.
We stayed at the house, trying to figure out what was happening.
Well, are you sure it was him? I mean, couldn't it be someone else?
My father-in-law said that somebody had broken a window into the cabin, and Grandpa had realized that guns were missing. We started to panic. Is this kid going to come back to the house now that he has a gun?
What are you doing?
Gotta protect ourselves.
Bob had his pistol because he wanted to be armed in case he needed to defend us against Michael. He's talked to us about having thoughts about hurting us. Is he not going to come back and hurt us?
I'm gonna call the cops. Just call me if you hear anything, okay?
I was watching the bank account to see if there was any more transactions coming through to get an idea of maybe where this kid was headed.
I got a bad feeling about this.
We just decided we're going to search the internet, see if we can find any, news articles. We come across this breaking news article, and it's about
Minneapolis entered this Crossroads gas station in Algona around 9:15 and robbed the store, shooting and killing a 55-year-old woman who worked there in the process.
And then there was a report of another one that had happened, and that convenience store clerk was also killed.
An hour later, the same team drove to this come and go in Humboldt, where he shot and killed another clerk, this time a 60-year-old woman. Both murders appear to be completely senseless acts of violence.
There was no name. It was just a location and what had happened. It was very brief. I just remember just looking at that and looking at Bob, and I'm like, I think that's Michael. And it was the same officer who had been at our house the day before when we reported Michael missing. He told us, he said, I am so sorry to have to tell you that Michael was involved in some shootings. He killed 2 women in a robbery attempt at a convenience store. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. What happened? What caused this? I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. I was so upset. I could not stop crying. My thought was that the cops were going to find Michael. He would point a gun at one of them, and they would shoot him. But they were able to arrest Michael in a neighboring town. We saw footage of Michael being escorted to the courthouse. And the footage was very odd. And he was kind of laughing. I knew when I saw that video that he was not in his right mind. And then we were told Michael had confessed to what he had done.
Can you show me how you held the gun?
That sounds like that.
Okay. And what happened to her?
I hit her in the face, and she fell, and she smacked her head on the desk, and then I walked out.
And this is what we saw consistently with him. When he would do things wrong, he would be more sorry about getting caught doing what he did versus the really understanding of what he did.
What did you feel when you pulled the trigger?
I felt powerful. But, I don't know, I shouldn't really care about them.
He's got this flat tone. It's a shell of him that's there.
Didn't care about them? Good. How else did you feel?
tried to prevent this. I explicitly warned people, but nobody would listen to me.
Verdict of this jury is as follows. We find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree, signed foreperson.
He's laughing. Yeah. Totally odd. Just totally bizarre. They thought he was a psychopath. I don't believe that's true. He told me that he was so self-conscious and everything of all the cameras being on him. All he could do was just laugh about this. But I don't know if he really gets the whole impact of what a death is. That they're gone forever. That's Vicki Bowman Hall. She was mother of 11 children. And my heart breaks for those children. Her husband trying to raise those children without her. This is Sheila. This was the second clerk that was killed. She was married. She had 2 daughters and some grandchildren. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. I'm just so sorry. I'm just so sorry. How did we end up here? I blame myself. I failed my son, and I failed these women, and I failed their families. I failed to get him the help he needed. I went through a period of time there where I just didn't know if I was going to go on. I was very suicidal. It took a really long time to try to get back to normal. I spent a lot of time at church. We tried to just gather up our lives and try to carry on him as often as we can. I hate what he did. I am ashamed of what he did. But I'm never going to stop loving him. I understand he needs to be punished for this, but he's my son, and I have unconditional love for him. I'm his mother. Family is family. My only hope is that in telling this story, that if there is another Michael out there, if you feel there's something wrong with your child, be a strong advocate for them. Trust in your instincts. Don't let the doctors and professionals push you aside. Be stronger than I was and just keep pushing. We saw the signs, and this is everything I was hoping wouldn't happen.